one of the things that I like to do with family members, as I've mentioned before, is sharing your health goals. And maybe you don't have health goals, maybe sharing your recovery goals. So like you could replace this word health with any word that you would like, but your recovery goals, maybe your health isn't so great. Or maybe it's your diet needs, right? So you could put in the phrase that matches where you're at in the process of your no grain, no pain type lifestyle. But share those things with your loved ones in a loving, kind way with patience in virtue so that they support you. Again, put words in their mouth, help them understand your need because they'll support you better. And if you make the declaration ahead of time, what generally happens if you don't is, you walk in and grandpa says, you want a drink? Right? And grandma says, you want a cookie? Right? And, your uncle says, one bite won't hurt. Right? I mean, just imagine all those conversations so this is the pressure, right? That social pressure coming from family members. If you don't do this, I can guarantee you is coming. This is probably coming even if you do this. And so what happens if you have these conversations ahead of time, you just remind them of the conversation as opposed to just caving. Because again, a lot of people are going to cave. It happens every year. I see it every year. After the Thanksgiving and Christmas, my office is inundated with people that, it's almost like a confessional. They're coming into my office and saying, hey, Dr. Osborne, I really messed up over the holidays. I did this, I did that, I ate this when I shouldn't have eaten that, I drank too much, whatever it is. So again, set yourself up as much as you can. I can promise you most of you are going to eat and drink things that you wouldn't normally eat or drink. But if you can minimize the damage at the very least by planning ahead, you'll save yourself a lot of grief. One of my favorite things to do during the holidays is right here, is to offer to be the host. And why do I like to offer to be the host? I actually love to be the host, and here's why. When I'm the host, I get to control the menu. People can bring dishes all they want, and I'm always welcoming people to bring their own, traditional dishes if that's what they want to bring. But when I'm the host, we can prepare food. We can prepare food that is actually love, right? Loving food that's made, organic food, healthy food, real food, without the margarine, without all the junk, without all the sugar, without all the processed ingredients. Again, not fruit. We're not creating love equals fruit. We're creating love equals food. And when you're the host, you get to choose the menu. You get to dictate what's in it, and you get to keep yourself safe and real during this time. Whereas when you're not, you're a little bit more out of control, especially if you're traveling from one state to another. You're flying somewhere. It's a little bit harder to control your food. So again, when you can be the host, take every advantage of that opportunity if you're on a restricted gluten-free diet to be the host that you possibly can. Because here's one of the things that I see kind of chronically is that people hear that you're gluten-free and they want to help you. Like they want to buy you a gluten-free thing or they want to make you a gluten-free thing. As a matter of fact, raise your hand, those of you in the audience, where you've gone to a family member's house, and they were like, oh, you know what, I made you gluten-free cookies, right? Or I made you gluten-free pie crust so you can eat it, right? And what they didn't realize is that they used the traditional term for gluten. They made you corn or rice or sorghum or millet-based breading or whatever it might be, knowing that they thought that was gluten-free when actually it wasn't gluten-free. So they thought they were doing really right by you, but they were doing wrong by you, because most people, when they do the gluten-free diet, do it wrong. Remember, 92% of all people embarking on a gluten-free diet continue to have persistent inflammation and villous atrophy despite the fact that they're on a gluten-free diet. It's because they continue to eat other grains like corn and rice. And so when your family members are trying to navigate this for you because they know you have a special need and they go to the grocery store, they don't know anything about the diet. So what do they trust? They trust the food labels. So they go to the gluten-free food aisle and they buy all that junk, processed, sugary, garbage food that has corn and rice in it, genetically modified corn and rice. It's loaded with glyphosate, and they make something from it for you, as an act of love. And it is an act of love, but It's also if you imbibe with it, if you partake of it, you can end up hurting yourself and creating a problem. So again, when you can be the host, that's important that you take advantage of that situation. When you're not the host, my advice is have those early conversations. Call up your family members, let them know what your needs are, let them know, not to be offended or not to be upset with you if you can't eat certain things, certain traditional types of recipes that are common, and ask them to kindly not, use your diet as the centerpiece for everyone else's conversation. You'd prefer that wasn't the issue. And if somebody wants to ask you about it, it's one thing, but you don't want the announcement at the dinner table to be, well, we made this one special for you because you're weird, right? Like that's the way it comes across to us. People like us, but the way they just think they're trying to be helpful. And we'd like them to try to be helpful, but accuracy matters in this case. So host it when you can. And if you can't host it, make sure, I would make sure to have and make sure you've bottled up plenty of this right here. Couple different things that I take with me if I travel. One is Gluten Shield. This is a digestive enzyme that, in case there's a cross-contamination issue. Now, don't use this to purposefully eat gluten. It's like, don't take this and then pig out on cookies. It's not what it's intended to do. It's not going to block all that damage. But if you get accidental cross-contamination or exposure, it can minimize and break down some of those glutens that you might get exposure to. So take that when you travel. The other thing I take commonly is vitamin C, Detox C, because vitamin C can help with that inflammatory component in the GI tract. After a person's gluten, vitamin C can be very supportive of gut repair. So these are things that I would carry, along with my probiotic. Biotic Defense is another one I would carry. Actually, I just talked to somebody last week who was at a they kind of celebrated the whole thing early, and they were at a family member's, and they really derailed themselves. They ate everything that they shouldn't eat. And for this particular individual, it just created a scenario of severe diarrhea for weeks. And that's where sometimes a good probiotic, if you got cross-contamination or minimal exposure like that, can help keep your bowels stable and prevent them from becoming a major issue. So again, if you have to travel, it's good that travel with nutritional companions so that you can minimize or mitigate as much of that damage as possible. The big one, probably one of the biggest mistakes I see during this time, is the overabundance of dairy. A lot of people do really good at cutting grain or gluten out of the diet, but then they get exposure to a lot of dairy. And so remember, one of the things that we know about people with gluten sensitivity is that gluten damages the intestinal lining where the enzyme that breaks down or degrades dairy is produced. And this is why lactose intolerance is very common in people with gluten sensitivity. And so that can create a lot of issues for you, especially during this time, because a lot of people think, okay, grain, okay, I can figure that part out, but then they forget about butter and they forget about cream and all the other things that are thrown into baked goods. So if you struggle with those issues, make sure, again, that you're very cautious and very careful. Hey, don't forget to check out the rest of the series right here. Make sure you hit subscribe below. And as always, thanks for tuning in.